Hi guys, my name's Elisa and welcome to episode 12 on this playthrough of The Island. With last week's success in the lava cave, I immediately saddled up and got ready for Swamp Cave. Took the berry out again. With how great it had been last time, I had to use it again. It was so good in that cave, I figured it was going to be the absolute best mount that I could possibly have.
Magnificent bursts of speed. And
We made our way to the Swamp Cave, got ourselves sorted, got our gas mask on that we crafted a couple of episodes ago, and made our way in. As I mentioned last week, Lava Cave was the only cave prior to this challenge I've set for myself that I'd ever successfully run. So I was nervous to say the least about this, but I definitely wanted to get this out of the way and done so that I could move on to the other caves. The berry just obliterated absolutely everything. It didn't seem that this cave could throw anything at us at this point, that the berry was not just going to absolutely annihilate. I got to this point and could see the one Arthro on the floor just in front of me. I figured it wasn't going to be a problem if I didn't get too close before I could kill it. I didn't see a second Arthro up there. And it took out my gas mask. And having not done this cave before, I did not know how incredibly fast the gases within this cave took down your health. So I genuinely believed that I had more time before I had to worry about my health. Found this cave drop, so I killed everything around so that I could pick it up, which really was absolutely no worries on this berry. This thing is a beast. Start with, it wasn't really something I wanted, but I figured if I wanted it to respawn, I needed to gather it anyway. So I picked it up. I genuinely wasted valuable time. It was about here that I realised how low my health was and that I was in trouble. The berry was so heavy from its auto harvesting that it was moving super slow, and I just didn't get there in time. So there's the second death of this season. I respawned wondering what on earth had happened with that berry. Why had it run away? At this point I was less concerned about getting the artifact. I just wanted my berry back. It was actually a lovely person on Reddit that pointed out that berries automatically seek fish when on low health, and because it had been fighting everything, it had gone to do exactly that. And I just had to try and find it. I also kind of failed to remember that for the scuba suit to work in here, you have to have everything on. And I had intended to put put my shoes on that from my dead body and my gloves, and I kind of forgot. So I lost a little bit of health there. Seeing that there was still creatures within the cave, I decided I wasn't going to run it on foot. It wasn't worth it. So I went back home to collect a mount. This time, I decided on a frog. I also checked to see whether the berry was still alive, and there was no sign of it dying in the log, so that was pretty reassuring. I built a little house that I could put the frog in when I wasn't around, or if I decided not to use it for whatever reason, just to keep it safe, and so that I would have a respawn point as well. Kind of figured at this point that there was kind of no way that I wasn't going to die a handful of times in here. I genuinely had no idea how bad it was going to be, however. Got the RG somewhere safe so that I could start working on the interior in here, and absolutely layered the floor with sleeping bags. I also popped down a trough so that the frog would have some food, just in case I forgot to put any on it, and the frog had been kind of beat up while I was building this little box, so I went home and got my diet on so that I could heal up the frog a bit. Eventually, I didn't notice, but the Daedon ran out of food, and it was starting to look a bit ropey itself because it was starving, so I cryoed that up. I should have put it on the RG, but I didn't. The Daedon is still on my person when I go back into the cave. I did put a few sleeping bags down just to make sure that everything was okay and easy to respawn if anything happened, and decided to go back in. I'm not entirely sure after doing all the work to get the frog where it needed to be. I don't know why I'm doing this on foot and not with the frog, but that's what we're doing. I knew that the Tenemite soldier was here somewhere, so I made sure that I had the shotgun out and ready, and thankfully it was a super easy dispatch. I was still mainly concerned at this point about getting my berry back. I really didn't want to lose it after all the leveling I'd put into it, after the hard work that it had gone through at the lava cave. I really just wanted to make sure that it came home. He also learned a valuable lesson here, that the shotgun does not work very well against insects. It just doesn't really hit them, not in a swarm like this. So the sword is definitely the better way to go in this respect. But my gas mask was broken again. I was just fortunate enough that I had brought a backup this time. didn't really want to run into anything that I couldn't handle, and I really didn't think that I was going to be able to kill as much as what's in here without the berry. So I'm kind of just trying to be as careful as I can going through here. Really just trying to find that berry. I really just want it home.
Tapahara imperative is a market nationwide. It's compared to the island's other flyers, thanks in large part to the rudder-like shape that extends out. The mission.
And it was an absolute leech, so warm, that wanted a piece of me. This was not helpful, but at least this time I brought some healing potions with me.
But it apparently provides Tapahara.
But I really wanted that drop, so I had to go back in the water.
With unparalleled grace. I've even seen the Tapahara hover and strafe side to side in the air without moving forward at all. It's quite remarkable. The creature also makes effective use of razor-sharp claws to latch onto surfaces such as the trunks of tall trees, holding its position indefinitely. Warlike tribes appear to consider Tapahara the equivalent of a versatile rodent, capable of rapid positional changes and aggressive agility. When domesticated, the Tapahara is typically outfitted with a unique triple rider saddle, enabling two passengers to wield handheld weaponry while the pilot takes the reins. When the Tapahara is latched onto a surface, both the passengers and pilot are able to make full use of their weapons together.
These things just absolutely swarmed me, and I managed to get me rabies, so things weren't exactly looking good at this point. I did my absolute best to get myself sorted. I had brought Scooper with me this time, so at least I had some backups. With a little bit of health restored, I went back to my search. Was all too much, and another death within the cave. I figured I'd try naked run it, try and get my stuff back. I thought that there wasn't a lot of chance of getting all the way back with my stuff, but at least there was somewhat of a chance of getting it closer. I might have to do a couple of naked runs, but we would get it there eventually. Kind of formulated a path to where my bags were, and I had to do my best to work it out. I also found this red drop. Sneaky little shotgun blueprint in it, and I definitely wasn't going to complain about that. Unfortunately, the first bag I picked up was not my bag, and it led to another death. So I decided it was time to pull out the big guns. We got on the frog and we had to make the run across the redwoods. Before I'd even really managed to get any progress on, Terror Bird decided it wanted a bite. which was precisely what I needed right in that moment. Fortunately, the Beelzebufo is a fairly fast mount, and you can pretty much outrun just about anything on this thing. So dealing with the various predators that come with being in the redwoods wasn't really a problem, thankfully. My RG being right in the mouth of the cave, however, was a problem. Got it moved out of the way so it wouldn't have the same problem again next time, and made my way in to try and get my stuff. Unfortunately, I discovered that the frog can't fit through the hole I need to get through if I'm going to use this path, and my health was going down pretty fast, so I decided to go back to the surface to try and regain some of that health. Give myself some time to heal up, formulate a new plan. Once I was healed up, I gave it another go. We headed back in to see whether I could find another route to get to my stuff, but it was not to be. And unfortunately, on trying to make it back up again, I went just that little bit too far through. Got another death on the list. And the same thing happened again. At this point, I was done with the frog. It was not proving to be the right mount to get my stuff. It couldn't get through those little cracks. I couldn't work out how to get there. So I was just going to have to naked run it. I didn't want to risk losing even more stuff. So I'd gotten some enduro stew, some health brews, and made my way back in. With another little cheeky shotgun blueprint out of that drop, had to get my stuff again. I'm not having a very good time at this point. I figured I had to pull everything away from my bags. I can't get to my original bag at this point because the Meganura are all in the way. And I'm actually having problems getting their aggro. But we got there in the end. I didn't get them quite far enough away, so we had to do another punch the bugs run to try and get my stuff. And I missed the first punch. So I had to make a second punch. I was trying to be fast so that I didn't lose too much health and I could get them to a point where I was away from the bags. And thankfully it kind of worked. was able to get one bag. And then I was able to get the second bag. But I got stuck on a drone. It was only a second, but it felt so much longer. But my stuff is now closer to the exit. I was able to get my stuff again, even with all the Meganeura in the way, but I was losing health fast, so I thought that I would try and put a sleeping bag down. Unfortunately, I wasn't quite fast enough. All my sleeping bags were gone at the mouth of the cave, so I now not only had to do naked runs through the swamp, I had to do naked runs through the redwoods. I was fortunate enough at this point that one of my go-tos for leveling my character is movement speed. So I was pretty much able to outrun anything that was interested in me, but it was still pretty nerve-wracking running through the redwoods absolutely naked. And I just kept running. I got to this point, knew my bag was here somewhere, but the bugs were in the way again. So I had to kite them out of the way for yet another death. This time I spawned in the wrong place. The turtle wasn't doing enough damage because I had to get back to where I wanted to be. So I decided to go for a little swim. I was starting to get really frustrated at this point. I really wasn't sure whether I was going to get my stuff back, and I really wasn't sure. I really didn't think I was going to get the Audionautix. I'd been all through the swamp cave, and I was fairly certain it had fallen through the mesh. This run I also really struggled to find where on earth my bag had gone. But there was more bugs that I had to move out of the way, so we did another suicide punch and started running. With another respawn, I was able to get in and have a look. I knew it was in this little cave area somewhere, but I couldn't spot it. But at least this bag had a little bit of something in here for me. I had some health potions, some enduro stew, so maybe I was going to be fortunate enough to buy myself a little bit more time. I was really searching for this bag and really struggling to find it until suddenly I saw it and couldn't access it. At this point, I had no idea what I was going to do. It was in the mesh. I couldn't get to it. And another death meant another bag that I was going to have to try and get. Unfortunately, I couldn't access it. It was stuck in the mesh, and accessing it was not an option. As much as I tried, I couldn't get either of the bags at this point.
Three days later.
With that discouragement, I struggled to pick it up again. But with some research, I decided to try some mods. I figured it wasn't quite cheating because it was a glitch in the game that caused me not to be able to get my stuff anyway. But even the mods, the item transfers from S+, there was a death recovery mod that I tried. There was about 4 or 5 mods that I tried, and none of it worked. The final straw was this Purlovia, and I just decided that it wasn't worth the attempt anymore, and I very nearly gave up. Thankfully, though, I did carry on. Thank you so much for watching my pain. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Really appreciate it.